Hi everyone, this is Rhonda Rawlings. So honored to be here representing Black History USA and in the home of a Greenville icon, a community advocate, an educator. I can just go on and on and on. So many different things. How are you?
I'm just fine. I am just so honored to be here with you today, Rhonda. Thank you.
Thank you. And I didn't mention her name. This is Councilwoman Lilian Brock Flemming, who needs no introduction at all. You were just celebrated and honored for 40 years
Yes.
on City Council.
Yes.
Wow, that is quite an amazing accomplishment. So once again,
Yes.
I know we've been saying it for so long, but thank you for all that you've done for Greenville and beyond.
Well, I thank you, but it's more important. It has been the service of the people and the support that I've received that really needs the honor. I'm just a vessel.
And so let's go back a little ways. Sure. You were one of the first two
Yes.
African American women to graduate from prestigious Furman University, and that was in 1971, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Quite an accomplishment, especially back in those days.
Yes.
So you broke barriers as well as stereotypes because your major was math education, and so many people always say, they don't equate women with mathematics. And so talk a little bit about that, because that had to be, a little bit of a struggle.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Rhonda, my roommate, Sarah Reese, who is originally from Williamston, she lives in Greenville now after she's retired from the New York Met. Mm-hmm. But we had, it was very interesting. The struggle was not seeing diversity, because oftentimes you were the only one African American in your class. And so oftentimes you didn't get a chance to see anyone until later on in the day, maybe dinner time or later after that. And so it was quite interesting. And for 18-year-olds, it was, first, it was like people talked about it, but we didn't really think about it in that light. It was, we're in college, so now we got to grow up or do what we have to do. So it was very different. And there were a lot of people you could tell who didn't really want to see you, and that was not a problem with me.
Wow. That took a lot of mental and I'm sure spiritual strength to know that you're someplace where some people don't want you.
Yes. But I had a mom and a dad that had instilled some things in me, and Sarah's mother and grandmother were stalwarts. They made sure we were never lonely. We were never without something to eat. and my mother and father talked to me and asked me, now if this is not something you want to do because you've got other scholarships, you can go somewhere else, etc. And we talked to Joseph Vaughn, who was the first African American to integrate Furman University in 1965. In fact, January the 29th, 1965, we just celebrated an anniversary for him. He went to Furman, and he knew it was something that if someone did not do it, then what would happen? And then he talked to us, and Furman then, after Joseph was there, and several other young people from other colleges were there, they were all fellas. And Furman asked about getting African Americans from Sterling High School, and my guidance counselor, since I lived in Greenville, recommended me, etc. I guess they were using basically my grades and test scores and stuff like that, etc. And then they talked to my parents. And my parents said that it was my decision because I was getting ready to turn 18, so I needed to make a choice. And so I figured, what could it hurt?
Wow.
If anything, because one of the things I understood in the back of my mind, with colleges, unlike high schools, you can transfer if there's a problem. So, but if you never try it, how will you know?
Wow.
And so, and you wake up every morning, as my mom says, and I still do it to this day, talk to the Lord and thank Him for who you are, and continue to be yourself all day long. Don't let people change you, which oftentimes we found that to be true with some people. Some people didn't even want to be associated with the black students, and they were black.
Wow.
You get maybe one or two of them every now and then. And so we move forward.
And that's such a good piece of advice. So many pieces of advice in there. And it reminded me of a saying I see all the time. It says, when someone asks themselves or they're unsure about what they want to do, and it says, what if I fail? And then you come back and say, but what if you soar?
Yes.
But you have to give it a try.
You have to give it a try. And my dad reminded us when I was getting ready to graduate from high school, and he said, the one thing, now this is my dad who only had a sixth grade education, but he said to me, the only thing wrong with being black is thinking that there's something wrong with it. I've never forgotten that because it makes sense. You're your worst enemy,
Right.
and you can be your problem. But if you know who you are and your purpose for being where you are, then you seem to do a little bit better.
Most
Yes.
definitely. And so as your life went on, as your career went on, you continued to break barriers. You became the first African American woman elected to Greenville City Council.
Yes.
So talk to us about what was one of your proudest moments as a member, and you still are a member of Greenville City Council. What was one of your proudest moments?
To be candid with you, when I was, after I was installed and my husband was holding the Bible for me and looking at the children, but in the opening, the man who did the prayer prayed for all of the men and their deliberations. That was my proudest moment because I knew then maybe they didn't think I'm supposed to be here. Maybe they didn't think I'm supposed to be here, but Lord, you have me here for a purpose. That was my proudest moment because I said, you have to know why you're here every day you're here and what your purpose is and what to do. That was a moment that really opened my eyes to see how important it was to have not only the female, but to have the color in order to understand, because I would come from a different point of view because I live in the ghetto. To me, I still live there, but it wasn't really a ghetto. It was my neighborhood. People give names to things because they don't understand.
Right.
And it was a neighborhood. It just was a neighborhood that you didn't take care of my street. You didn't take care of our houses. So we lived the best that we could. So that was my proudest moment.
And on the other hand, what were some of your most challenging, or what was your most challenging moment?
There were several challenging moments, oftentimes when people would talk down to you as if you don't understand something. And I've never been a person to brag about anything. But one day I just stopped and said, listen, I got a master's degree. I don't need you to explain anything to me. And on that particular program, we were there at a council meeting, and my husband was there that day. He was getting ready to go somewhere, so he came by with me. And when he heard me say that, he says, pray, sweetie, pray. I said, you can imagine the people on this, they was like, but I understood. He wanted to keep me focused. You know, don't let these people get you sidetracked, you know, because you are from the southern side and we do not play that, etc. So
you have an amazing supporter in your husband.
Yes.
Reverend Flemming.
Yes.
I've been around the two of you numerous times, and I see the way he looks at you. I see how proud he is of you. That has to be a tremendous bolster to your spirit to know.
Oh, Lord, yes. We've been married
family.
42 years. And you can almost finish the other person's sentence. And I can, etc. He has been partner, comrade, my best friend, and everywhere. Sometimes my chauffeur when I'm going certain places. And it has just been fun. And oftentimes, my children he would make sure they were there and they understood what mommy was doing. When I was working on my master's degree, the kids would, my husband would drop me off so I wouldn't have to park because it was dark sometimes at night. So he dropped me off. Really, he did that so the children could see me go to college because the whole purpose is for them to understand. You can say some things to them, but sometimes it's best to show them.
Right.
And so they would come, we got to pick up mommy, from school. She's going to school, so you got to go to school. So, those kind of things. So, so the partnership is just wonderful. It is one of the things that he does well. He is the cook, which, because me, I'm always so busy. I'm saying cooking takes time and preparation, and you can't just let things just lag, and you have to season them right. It's just like living. You got to take your time with it and do it. Me, I'm always in a hurry. So it wouldn't have been good if I was a cook. The children didn't miss me when I was gone because they were still eating. And exciting. They would wave at me, hey, mommy, that was it. Aww. But, and so we wanted them to understand the partnership because our girls, we wanted them to know, who a real man is. That a real man, doesn't matter who cooks, who gets home first.
Right.
Same thing with your boys. You cannot tell them how to treat women. You need to show them. That's what my husband used to say. And there's certain things that we would, we want you to understand and respect. Always go find you a queen, because you're a king. You got to teach them that. You're the king, find you a queen. That means you're going to treat her right. And if you can't treat her right, leave her home with her parents. Now, and guess what? It's amazing. I laugh because my father said exactly the same thing to my brother. Exactly the same thing. And I laughed and I told my husband, I said, my brother said the exact same thing. Leave her home if you're not going to treat her right. So
amazing advice.
Yeah. So we spent a lot of time doing teaching and stuff like that, as well as talking about history. We have lots of history books and things in our house, and we did my husband's family tree. He did it on his mother's side and his father's side. So it's exciting for them to know where they come from and who's part of their family. Yeah.
And that is an amazing segue into the statue of this beautiful lady behind us.
Thank you. My mom.
I know is a source of pride for you, and you were a source of pride for her.
Yes.
And do you want to talk a little bit about her influence in your life?
Well, from the time I started to, even before then, my mother has always been a missionary. She was, when she passed away, she was the chairman of the women's missionary for our church, Mountain View Baptist Church. And it's a large missionary. They had 6 or 7, they had 8 or 9 missionary units because they were divided by, different people. So some people didn't have to drive so far, etc. And in that, when she said she was a missionary, truly, she was a missionary, not just in name only. We went up and down the street making sure people had something to eat. If people were sick, we would go visit. And I knew I had to learn how to drive because Mom couldn't drive at the time. She didn't know how to drive, so I said, boy, I'm going to have to learn how to drive and get some driver's license in the car so Mom doesn't want to have to walk. Those little ladies would, but they were healthy, if you think about it, because they were walking everywhere they went. We walked to church and this and the other. So she was truly an influence because she was so passionate about being a missionary. That's all she talked about. Was that so? Then when she opened up the center, when the city gave her an old house, etc., that the Southern Side Community Center on West Washington Street, 846, gave that. That's what we did. We fed every day. I told someone this was the very first Christmas. We did not feed people on Christmas Day. We normally every holiday. My mother said, remember, people are hungry every day. Just because you're at home having a good time, they need something to eat as well, particularly those people who don't have any place to stay. So we would often give 2 meals for them on Thanksgiving or Christmas, because oftentimes it would be on a Sunday. And we did that. The best thing about serving the people was when my children got older, for them when they're teenagers, it was like, get up, come on, we gotta go do this. we didn't have Christmas Day until the evening because we had to feed the people. We had to get the food together and do that. And they were like, well, then when they became adults, first or second year in college, each one of them said, you know what, Mom, I'm proud of y'all. I'm proud that I've learned how to feed people and take care, because it helps their attitude about life, that you don't come in thinking that, you know, you're this, you're that. No, except for one incident, you could be homeless. So
Yes.
we need, and so the teaching moment was always there. It was exciting to explain it to them as well. So
it's always a lovely moment when you think, because a lot of times when your kids are growing up, you don't really think that they are taking heed to the things
they're
that you're
not
saying.
paying attention.
But
Then when
you
they
see
say
it in
something,
action, it's just a beautiful thing. Well, thank you so much for having us today in your lovely home. And I do want to share this calendar with everyone if you haven't gotten it. It's the Black History USA calendar. And let's see who is the poster girl for July 2022. It's Councilwoman Lilian Brock Flemming.
in the month of my birth. That's exciting.
We appreciate you so much. And Glenn Singleton of Black History USA wants to present you with the Black History USA Community Award for 2022
Oh,
to
thank you.
Councilwoman Lilian Brock Flemming.
Oh, that is so magnificent. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, this is, and you know I love Glenn. He is always everywhere, and sometimes looking at the history of people, we need somebody to pay attention to us, etc. This is so exciting. I'm definitely gonna put this right in here and just
lovely. It's
and just
lovely.
hold. Thank you so much, Rhonda. This was
Thank
a
you.
wonderful treat, and we always get together and have a good time. So it's so nice of you to do this. It's so sweet of you to give this to me. And Glenn, God bless him.
Most definitely.
God
Thank
bless
you
him.
so much for having us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.